we're standing in solidarity, and we're going to oppose hate in all forms. We can't have that in our neighborhood.
Members of the LGBTQ community coming together to send a message: there is no room for hate, and anyone trying to disrupt peace are not welcome. Good evening. They gathered to unite for love, but it was the threat of homophobia and intimidation that motivated organizers to act.
The community heard a group had plans to march through the village today, a group they've dealt with before and wasn't interested in entertaining again. CTV's Sean Leathong live on Church Street now with more on how today's event started and, of course, the outcome. Sean.
Well, Nick and Andrea, it all started back in June when a local pastor came to this area and had a message meant to provoke the people who live in this area. That pastor on that day was arrested and charged with disturbing the peace, but they had plans to come back today, but this area said they won't give it a chance. Carrying the flag today is a question of faith. As the giant pride flag is carried across Barber Hall Park, members of the LGBTQ2 community come together, but each smile and show of affection is a statement. Why is it important to be here today?
Because we're defending ourselves.
This gathering, called the Unite for Love Fest, is in response to another event being planned just down the road. A group from the Christian Forgiveness Ministry had planned to march along Church and into Toronto's gay village.
Isn't Toronto belong to everyone? I thought that Toronto was for everybody, right? So, I mean, I don't call any part of Toronto my space.
The two sides met at a standoff at the intersection of Church and Front.
So this is our peaceful response. We deserve to be here peacefully.
They do not want people coming into the village specifically who is delivering a message of intimidation.
And pushing back are many faith leaders from the community.
I'm a United Church minister, I'm a politician, and I'm openly gay. And when our community is threatened by even part of a community I'm a part of, I need to stand in solidarity.
Their particular brand of judgment and talking of sin and street preaching is not welcome here, because so many people in the LGBTQ community have experienced religious-based trauma, homophobia, transphobia.
Matthew 19:1, Jesus says, 2,000 years before Lady Gaga, some are born that way.
And while the standoff ended peacefully, it came with a reminder that this will not be the last time that this happens.
In 2029 and 2039 and 2049, I don't think I'll be the mayor at that point in time, but the city will still be dealing with these issues because there are human beings who seem to be intent on dividing others or polarizing others.
So what you're looking at behind me is the aftermath of the group that was down at Front and Church earlier today. They were having a jubilant atmosphere once they arrived back here because they're declaring victory for the day. Reporting live from Church at the 519, I'm Sean Leathong. I'll send it back inside.
All right, Sean, thank you.
They are two groups divided by beliefs and their individual interpretation of the Bible when it comes to marriage and the LGBTQ2+ community.
It does uphold a man and a woman reflecting biological reality.
Not a man and a man or a woman and a woman.
No, it's not the biblical, traditional understanding.
Jesus was the one who broke down barriers of race and culture and gender and is still doing that to this day. So it's truly heartbreaking.
More than 20 faith leaders rallied in the village to support the community, even offering apologies for harm and discrimination that they say went on for decades under the cloak of organized religion.
I always say Matthew 19:1, Jesus said 2,000 years before Lady Gaga, some are born that way. So, I mean, this is our faith. Our faith is one that's queer positive.
But heading south to King Street, a Christian group planning to march through the village is calling for the protection of free speech, civil liberties, and for charges to be dropped against street preacher David Lynn. Lynn was arrested in June for allegedly yelling derogatory comments near church in Wellesley.
If we don't say, look, this is not how the world has to be, then we can't expect the world to be safe for kids who are growing up.
Toronto Police has set up 2 separate barricades of bicycles like the ones you see here behind me in an effort to de-escalate the situation and separate both of these groups.
The group is being looked at as anti-LGBTQ2, but organizers say they're against the lifestyle choices.
They are now the ones who are divided and not including. They are hateful, and so they're doing exactly the same thing that they had for years marched against.
When there are people who are out promoting division and polarization and stigmatization against the LGBTQ community or anybody else, I think it's my job to stand up and say, no, that's not the way we live here.
Police were on hand to prevent confrontations between the two groups who were exercising their right to free speech on an issue that appears to be a divisive one. Morgan Campbell, Global News.